What's going on, everyone, and welcome to Stuttering Leo. My name is Leo and I have a stutter. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about having a stutter and dealing with your career and working life. So as stutterers, we usually tend to avoid as many speaking situations as we can. Now, ordering at a restaurant or picking up the phone to make a phone call to just get information about your bills or whatever it may be, those situations can easily be avoided. However, if you are working in a full-time job for the expected next 20, 30 years, it's kind of difficult to avoid speaking situations. And this itself tends to make a lot of stutterers try and go into specific careers where they don't have to communicate or talk very much. Now, I'm not saying this is wrong, but it's important to note that if you do have a goal in mind, you shouldn't let your stutter stop you from achieving said goal. Now, take for example myself. I work in a corporate environment, offices, meetings, and so on. I started working after university when I was about 23 or so. And at that point, I was still not fully developed in the sense of having confidence with my speech and talking in front of, strangers really. Especially when starting my first job, because I never had a corporate working environment experience, I didn't know how to behave. I didn't have the confidence to speak up or to ask questions or throw out suggestions. And this just kind of started off my career poorly in the sense that I couldn't be who I really wanted to be. In my meetings, I would be the one who just kind of listen and not speak up. And I would panic whenever someone asked me a question or it was my turn to give an update on whatever's happened during the week. In these situations, I would panic quite a lot. So I do understand when people want to go to jobs where they don't have to speak a lot, because it wasn't easy for me. It was challenging having to go in every day knowing that I couldn't communicate, basically, because I was so afraid of speaking to strangers and people above me. I guess a lot of people have this struggle as a stutterer when they have to speak to those at a higher level as them. So in those situations, you kind of end up stuttering more because of nerves or whatever it may be. So I had the same. So I totally understand when people don't want to go to within certain routes and certain job roles where speaking is a big part of said job. However, you need to realize what you want. Now, it's fine if you don't want to go into a role where you have to speak a lot, as long as you're comfortable knowing that you're fine to just pick any job, go there, work in 9, 10, whatever hours, and come home. If that is okay with you, then it's totally fine to pick any job, which means not having to communicate a lot. There's no problem with that. However, if you want to be at a certain point in your life, so in my situation, I wanted to go into the field that I studied because I enjoyed it. However, to really progress into this field, I would have to communicate a lot. I would have to communicate with clients, customers, managers, you name it. It wasn't something that I could avoid. And I understood that. Now, in my first job, I have to admit, as much as I did try to put myself out there, I wasn't confident enough to really kind of speak up in meetings or just talk to people in general. So I think I was there for about 2 years. So within those 2 years, I didn't really improve much. I improved with my working skills, but not with my communication skills and my confidence. However, my next job after that, there was a point where I just said to myself, I can't stay in this role forever. I want more for myself and I have to improve. If my role requires speaking, I have to do two things. One, just accept that I have a stutter and go out and put myself in the situations which require speaking, or I have to get some sort of therapy and kind of just help improve my confidence. Now, I went with the former and I just put myself out there. I raised my hand when I needed to do certain presentations on a weekly, bi-weekly basis, because I knew that if I were to be put in those situations, I would kind of desensitize myself to said situations, which would then eventually build confidence within myself. It wasn't easy. The first time I did a presentation, I was so nervous, and I could see the people in the room looking at me and kind of realizing how nervous I was, which of course did not help the entire situation. But this was the first step into kind of getting to where I am today. Now I'm a manager of a team. I have to do consistent presentations throughout the month and the year. So every couple of weeks I have a presentation that I have to give to the entire company. It's not a big company that I'm at the moment, but about 100 people or so I need to present in front of. I'm nervous every single time I have to present, but if I'm able to do that, there had to be some sort of improvement compared to the first time I started my working career, where I couldn't even speak up in a 5-person meeting on Skype when Skype was a thing. So if I can now present in front of, say, 100 people or so and have consistent meetings with smaller groups, there had to be some improvement. And I did that simply by putting myself out there, by realizing what I wanted and knowing that I couldn't get what I wanted without doing the necessary steps to kind of achieve the goal that I wanted. And this is what I would suggest to you. I mean, I'm not an expert in any of this. I'm mainly just sharing my experience with all of this. That helped me, and I would suggest that if you're kind of struggling at the moment on what you want to do and how you want to improve, just put yourself in the deep end and see how you can cope. And I feel like the more you put yourself in the deep end, and the more you deal with the feeling of being uncomfortable, the more comfortable you will be. Sounds a bit funny, but it's worked for me, and I'm sure it'll work for you. I mean, take for example, President Joe Biden, or Biden, however you say his surname. He has a stutter, but he's the president of the United States of America. Think about how many meetings he has to go to, how many speaking events he has to go to, and the crowds he has to speak in front of. If someone can have a stutter and get to his level because you really wanted to be a president, then if you want, I don't know, a role of a manager or director or whatever it may be, a project manager, whatever role which requires speaking that you want to achieve, you can just build up your confidence. You can accept the fact that you stutter, but realize that you're going to go after your goal anyway. So while I did put myself in the deep end, and that did help improve my confidence for my career, I still struggle. I still struggle with having days where I can't communicate in a proper manner. I end up blocking on various words. I start looking for replacement words, but those replacement words just don't make sense. So I end up kind of mumbling my way and just talking gibberish, basically, to my manager and other team members. And those days, yeah, they do knock me down a bit, but I keep having to remind myself on the growth that I've experienced, and that these days will happen. You just have to accept it and move on. And the next meeting I have after that, I'll try my best to kind of show what I can bring to the table and show them that I'm not someone who just mumbles and can't get the words out of my mouth, that I do have ideas, that I do know what I'm talking about, basically. So I hope that whatever I've talked about today kind of gives you an insight of a stutterer and their working life, especially in a corporate environment. And I hope that you feel a bit more confident knowing my experience in a working environment, that I didn't start off the best. I started off pretty nervous, not being able to speak in front of 5 people, a small meeting, to be able to get to a position of being a manager, having constant meetings with my team as well as the entire company itself. It took work, don't get me wrong, it took work, it took being uncomfortable to get where I am, but it wasn't impossible. It's definitely not impossible, and I'm sure that you can do it too. Thanks for watching this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. Please remember to leave a comment below and just tell me about your experiences with your stutter and your working life. Leave a like as well, and make sure to subscribe. See you next time.